Hello, this is Declan Scullion from Lean DFM. I'm going to share with you 7 tips on how to integrate 3D printing into your design process to reduce costs and lead time. But what is the problem? A few years ago, I met with the managing director, Mal, and the engineering manager, Ian, of a small business. On the table was a 3D printed part, the design concept for one of their products, and I asked what benefits they had gained from 3D printing this model. Mal, the MD, who was keen to show off their adoption of new technology, said that it helped them to visualize and to compare the concepts. But Ian made the point that because it was only a scale model, most design decisions had still been made looking at the CAD model on the computer. Mal went on to list the standard benefits of speeding up prototyping, reducing development time, cheaper than many traditional prototyping methods, and it allows easier, earlier design evaluations. The best thing since sliced bread, basically. Ian added that, to be honest, they were curious and it was a bit of a novelty at the time. I asked had they used it for anything else since, and Mal said he is always encouraging his engineers to use it more, but they tell him that they never have anything suitable, and I could see from the expression on Ian's face the novelty had worn off quickly, and it hadn't been considered for anything since. It had taken them a long time to get that 3D printed model made, as it was their first time working with the technology, and they had a lot to learn from their supplier. And on evaluation, it would have been as cheap to make a full-size prototype from metal, and that would have been more useful for them during testing. The fact is that there have been scenarios in some of their product development since that time where adopting 3D printing would have been a massive benefit, but only if it had been adopted as part of their process and not as a standalone exercise. Considering the typical product development process, it is important to remember that each step in the process interacts with other steps in that process, providing inputs, receiving outputs. So if you make a change to one step, it is important to consider the interactions that change may have and the effects that it may cause in other steps in the process. You will only get the full benefit of adopting 3D printing in your product development process if you adapt the other parts of the process that will interact with it, i.e. the whole process has to evolve. With that in mind, here are our tips to help you integrate 3D printing into your product development process and maximize its benefits. Take time to understand the full capabilities of 3D printing so that you can fully understand its potential in your processes. For example, materials can be used that can resist petrol, solvents, and temperatures up to 200 degrees C. Do the groundwork before you need to use it. Evaluate suppliers, establish relationships, set up accounts, and understand how to generate the right input file formats. In short, make it an established process before you need it, so that you can optimize its benefits when you do need it. Document the 3D printing process's capabilities, design requirements, and limitations. Remember, it is just another manufacturing process, and make this information easily available for reference and evaluation by your engineers. A primary benefit of 3D printing in product development is to enable fast and cheap evaluation of designs, so kickstart its adoption by adding more design evaluation checkpoints earlier in your product development process. And these are just points where you will stop and ask, will testing out ideas be a benefit now? And if the answer is no, then move on. But if the answer is yes, then patterns will start to appear where evaluation points in the design process are useful. And it's important to keep your process flexible enough to accommodate these evaluations. In scenarios where 3D printing may have a potential use, consider it as an option, but not as the solution. Just because you can create a 3D printed model doesn't mean that you should. Define what outcomes you require of the 3D printed part. Ideally, those outcomes should be tangible and they must be relevant. For example, if it is to be used only for visualization, Then, if possible, make sure it is a full-size representation that you can physically interact with as you would the actual product. And remember, 3D printed parts can be very useful in design for manufacturing to evaluate how the part will be interacted with on the shop floor, how it will be handled and fixed, what clearance is required for tools, how easy it will be to assemble, or for use just in fixtures to aid assembly. 3D printing can form part of a revolutionary transformation in your product development process, alongside initiatives such as design for manufacturing and under the umbrella of lean engineering. To find out more about making this transformation to reduce time and costs in the design, development, and manufacturing of your products, check out our website or click on the link on the screen now. Thank you.